Hello everyone, welcome back and thank you for watching. Today I will be making some gingerbread home decor ideas. So I really hope you guys enjoy today's video, and if you do, please give this a thumbs up and now let's start. Starting off with my first project, I will be using one of the Dollar Tree cutting boards and this piece of wood. Now this is actually a wood tray that I took apart and I'm using the bottom. I will be making a gingerbread house. So from this piece of wood, I will be making the roof. And I'm going to start by cutting these little sides off. And for like design at the bottom, I will be using this paint. This wood is very thin, so it's easy to cut through with scissors. Now before I glue this, I will be sanding it down using a sand sheet. I was about to glue my roof to my house, but then I seen that the roof was too high, so I am going to make it shorter. Now that I like the height, I'm going to glue it to my little house using some hot glue. To paint my little house, I will be using the apple barrel acrylic paint in the color chestnut. And this is how it looks once it's dry. Now I'm going to start by drawing the little door and the windows. For the windows, I use 3 Jenga blocks that were glued together. Using a tiny paintbrush and some white paint, I'm going to underline the roof, the windows, and the door. Then I'm going to make some little designs around the house. Honestly, now that I'm looking at it right now, I should have just left it like that. But I started to draw these little squiggly lines at the windows. As you see, I did some dots, which those aren't so bad. But then I ended up messing the roof by adding some more lines, and I felt like it looked like a Spider-Man. Not a Spider-Man, I'm sorry, like a spider web. So I didn't like that, so I do end up just painting the entire roof white. To decorate my little house some more, I had these Dollar Tree wood snowflakes, which I painted 5 of them using the color chestnut. Once everything was dry, I then glued the snowflakes on the roof. I then had other small snowflakes that I got from a pack from the Dollar Tree, which I also painted using the color chestnut, and I added them at the top of the roof. But that is it. Look how beautiful my little gingerbread house turned out. For my next project, I'm using a Dollar Tree cutting board, but this time I'm using the white one, the one that has the little handle part, and I'm using another piece of wood. Now, I started to freehand draw my gingerbread onto this piece of wood, but honestly, I did such a horrible job that I ended up just doing the tracing method that I use with my tablet onto the paper. And that's how I got a better gingerbread. This is another thin piece of wood, that's why it's going to be very easy to cut through using some scissors. To smooth it out, I will be sanding it down. Then I'm going to paint it using the same paint. Using a tiny brush and white paint, I will be drawing the details on my little gingerbread. I made a bow using a red ribbon, and for the buttons I did use some small little red berries that I had. Before I add my gingerbread, I did use my Cricut to cut out fresh baked. And at the bottom, I will be adding gingerbread. And in the middle, I will be adding my little gingerbread cookie. To finish it off, I added a red ribbon at the handle. But that is it. Look how beautiful this turned out. For my next project, I will be using two of these Dollar Tree pieces of wood. These are the 18 inches long. I'm going to start by gluing these together. I am only using hot glue, but you're more than welcome to use wood glue if you like. I started by painting this using this brown, but then I felt like it was too dark, so I do end up using the chestnut afterwards. So for this next step, I was planning on using these Dollar Tree poster sticker letters. They are white with some black outline, but what I was gonna do is cut off like the black outline and just use the white part when I realized that there was only one G, and I went to go and see if I had another of these packs, which I didn't, so I didn't use these. So because I didn't have enough of the letters, I decided to just use my Cricut and cut out the word gingerbread and the S and the T for street. But I did want to show you that there is a Dollar Tree option. This is how it looks. Now I'm using a tiny brush and some red paint. I'm going to draw like a squiggly line all around my sign. I then added some white dots using the back of the paintbrush. To decorate this a little more, I used some of the Dollar Tree wood cutouts. They have these little snowflakes, which I painted white, and the little candy canes, which I painted them red with white and a red bow. Now I wanted the bow to be more like a 3D. I had this small red ribbon. I made two small little bows and added them to the candy cane. But this completes this beautiful gingerbread street sign. I will be using this Dollar Tree wood square. I will be turning this piece of wood into a mug. So the first thing I'm going to do is just draw my mug on this piece of wood. When I first started to draw this, my inspiration was just the mug, but then I was like, you know what, I can draw like the hot chocolate inside. So that's why I just did the top round. Once I was finished, I did use my scissors to cut this. Now, if you don't have like some nice sharp scissors, you can always just use like a knife cutter. Sorry, not a knife cutter, a box cutter like this one right here, which I honestly just use both the scissors and this. So cutting the inside was a little bit tricky. I did a lot of the splinters right here, but I just used a scent sheet to smooth that out. Once I was done smoothing everything out, I painted my mug red using this apple barrel acrylic paint in the color red flag. For the cocoa part, I use this paint which I got at Hobby Lobby. It is in the color raw umber. For the mushrooms, oh my god, the mushroom. For the marshmallows, I'm going to use these little square letters that I had. I got these from the Dollar Tree. It was in the pack that had black and white of these. I left a spot at the top because I will be adding my straw. Now for my straw, I will be using this piece of wood, which I'm going to paint white. Then I will be using the Dollar Tree red vinyl. I'm going to cut a strip and then just wrap it around my piece of wood. Now I had left like a spot in the middle, but I felt like it was too in the middle, so I do end up switching the marshmallow with my straw. Now for it to look like it's like inside the chocolate, I am going to round the bottom. To decorate this some more, I had this Dollar General snowflake ornament, which I'm going to add in the middle. Now since my glue stick was white, I decided to fill in the little hole it had. Then I use a tiny paintbrush and some white paint to add some details on the handle part. And I felt like it needed some more marshmallows, but I didn't have any more of those squares, so I decided to just paint some squares inside my mug. But this completes this beautiful hot cocoa mug. For my next project, I will be using this Dollar Tree wood shelf, one of the towels to come in a pack, and for the round part, you can either use this wood coaster or this oval one. But I had this Dollar Tree wood circle, which is from like maybe 2 years ago. I haven't seen them lately at Dollar Tree. That's why I showed you different options that you can use instead. I'm going to start by painting. Actually, no, not painting this first. I'm going to start by making this round at the ends, and to do that I am using the coaster to draw the lines. Then I'm going to use my jigsaw to cut this out. So if you can't find any of these Dollar Tree wood shelves, you can use the Dollar Tree wood square and make the exact same thing just using this, which you will end up just cutting this in half and carve the edges. I'm going to sand this out before I paint this white. Using some red paint, I will be painting the piece of wood red and the dowel. Now the dowel, I didn't paint that entire thing. I did leave like a little spot. This is where I will be adding the other piece of wood. But before I add the piece of wood, I will be decorating my sign. So before I add the piece of wood, which is going to be my sign, I'm going to decorate it a little more. I'm going to start by adding 2 pieces of ribbon on each side to make some like stripes. Then I use my Cricut to cut out the word hot cocoa bar. So now I'm going to add my sign to the dowel first, and then I will be adding the dowel to the wood circle. So I felt like this needed something else, so I had this Dollar Tree ornament, which I'm going to add at the top. Now as you can see, I also used a bow because I thought the bow was gonna be enough, but it still looked weird, so I added this ornament. But this completes this beautiful hot cocoa bar stand. And that is it for today. I really hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. Let me know down in the